All right, you're welcome back to the show, and we've been joined this morning by Chukwunonso Ekestiobi. He's a lecturer from Department of Economics, Chukwemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Ibarre. I'm also Secretary, Nigeria Economic Society, NES, Anambra State Chapter, Convener, Policy Analysis and Research Congress, PAC, Chukwemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
And we also have John Ifejika. John is a security expert as well as a public affairs analyst. Good morning, John. Welcome.
Good morning. God bless you.
All right. Before we go to the major topic that we have today, I want us to look at this particular alert from the U.S. Embassy alerting on terror attack in Abuja. And then they have reduced their services, and other nations like UK are following suit. And because of that, some schools have taken precautionary measures. They have moved their classes from the normal classroom to now online. And then DSS, they are suing for CAM and so many other things happening. Now, I want us to talk about this security alert from the US government. What does this mean for Nigeria as a nation?
Might it go?
Yes.
No nation can develop without security. I think that is why the drafters of our constitution made it the primary responsibility of government to provide security. So it's because maybe over time we tend to trivialize, or will I say politicize, most of these important issues. That's why we are having a situation where security alarm bells are being rung now, not by our own internal security architecture or our defense team, rather, but from an external government. And it goes to show that something is wrong somewhere in terms of the communication. Because I won't be surprised that maybe we've had a situation where in the past, certain security information have been shared, with the federal government, maybe by the U.S. and other international intelligence agencies, and maybe somewhere along the line, either that information was compromised, or it was not taken seriously, and we had, the aftermath. So these people are now, being a serious-minded country that places a premium on the value of human life, they have taken it upon themselves to safeguard the interests of their businesses and their nationals in the country. So what is it telling, or what is it saying for the Nigerian government? That maybe, even within our security architecture, you see that the level of information sharing and collaboration is not really one to be proud of, where the military will be saying one thing, the army, the police, and everybody will be working, independently when they should be cooperating. So how then do you expect them to cooperate with external persons? I will come from an economic background, from where I come, because security just makes a mess of whatever beautiful economic policy you have. If you don't have the correct, the adequate security that can make economic activities to thrive, then you should forget about every other thing you are doing. Look at what is going on, for instance. Let's take it region by region. Look at what is going on in the Southeast, for instance, where we have been having sit-at-homes and everybody is tired of sitting at home. We have had situations where opportunities where we could have adopted a political solution, but that wasn't taken. Now that we are in the courts and the courts have said this case discharged, then we are now looking for the difference between discharged and acquitted, and we are going on to, and it just exacerbates the problem where you be having killings here and there, and even for high-profile persons. You had a senator was attacked here. Then you had a popular man of God somewhere just of recent. And you see then what is going on in the north. These persons these bandits, terrorists, whichever one we want to call them, have overrun that place. You have situations where these people, not only lay claim to territories within the Nigerian country, but they are also collecting levies from individuals, taxing them in this country. Then you attack or you kidnap maybe foreign nationals here and there, and you expect them to remain. Many of them are leaving the country. Businesses in the north are shutting down. If you come to the south, what is going on? Most international oil companies are already divesting. They are selling off their assets, their interests to local this thing. And we think that, yes, it's an outcome of the Petroleum Industry Act that is trying to localize what is going on. That one may be true, but people are actually leaving the country. And this is a country that is in dire need of revenue, in dire need of foreign investment. So news like this will only make that, it will only lead to that foreign investment outflow instead of the inflow that we need. If you go to the Southwest, the same story. So when a country comes out like this and makes it bold, and they are taking steps, and when, the normal catchphrase, when America sneezes, everybody will catch cold. When America takes this kind of decision, almost, majority of the other consulates you have in Nigeria will also start taking precautions. So it's really worrisome. Let me just cut it here.
All right. Let's come over to you, John, as a security expert. Now that I know you want to analyze the whole situation, but then while you're analyzing it, as a nation, now that we have received this kind of warning, this signal coming from the U.S., what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah, first and foremost, there's a way of gathering information, especially in the area of security. The Navy, the Air Force, the Army, they have, in those days, we have what we call the Directorate of Military Intelligence. Now, when an information comes in, the DSS will not let that thing leak to the public. It's just like you are in the hospital and the doctor said that your daddy is having terminal illness. They won't tell the man. They will tell people around. So all they do is that they get their report, they file their report. The National Security Advisor discusses with the president on this. And that is why the way it should be in an organized area, the National Security Advisor have access to the president anytime. He comes in, nobody stops him to come and discuss with him what is happening. They've gotten this information. They will not come and start telling us. So they've done their job. Just like the Kuje issue, the intelligence reported that there will be break of that Kuje prison. But the presidency did not work on it. They kept it until after it happened, before the National Assembly started shouting that you had this over a month and you did not do anything. America has problem because in Munich Olympic, the terrorists came in and killed the Israelis contingent. Now, Kenya and Tanzania, their embassy were bombed. So America now decided to take it on their own, for their own defense, wherever they are. There was a time an American citizen was, kidnapped. They have to come down, ask Nigeria for base. They landed here and went to Niger and rescued their own. America has been doing that. Wherever they are, they do that. Issue of the September problem that happened, America knew about it, the security, but they did not alert the nation. They never knew it would come in that form. So they do that. Internal security, they keep quiet. But outside nations decide to say, no, we are going to protect our own. That's exactly what America is doing now, to protect their citizens, warn them where and where not to go. If you are coming in from America and you say you are coming to Nigeria, because my own people that are there will tell me that there is a problem somewhere. Whereas me that lives in Oka may not know there's a problem in Ugwaba. But they have a way. When you get to the embassy, they will tell you their own and say this because they want to protect their citizens. But here in Nigeria, our own people will not do that because they know the best thing to do is what? To cover up. There are so many things they've done which if they have told us that this is what is happening, some people will move overnight. I know that the way we are today, if they tell you that there is going to be security breach in Oka, a lot of you will not come to work the day they will tell you that it's going to happen. So the best thing is they will leave it like that and make sure that they do some other underground arrest or a way of cutting them off. So America is right by telling their own to be very careful where and where not to go. The embassy will be all these things. The chief of defense staff have said no problem that they are equal to the tax. This shows that they have already know something about that and also trying to secure that particular area. So the information has gone to them. They've discussed that, and that is the issue of the military high command, what they will discuss, and they are not going to bring it down for anybody to know. And at the end of the day, they will pass the distance because the army has a very good functional line than any other institution. The military management, their functional line is so perfect that they take the order directly from up down. So the National Security Advisor will call the Chief of Defense Staff, who will now call the service chiefs, discuss with them and the Inspector General of Police, and say this is what is going to happen. And they now know the kind of people that will. If they are coming through the river, they go with the airborne force. If they are coming, they go with the paratroopers there. So they now know what to plan and wait for that. Okay. So that is it.
All right. Do you think that if eventually this terror attack happens, that our military and our security agents will be able to contain it, owing to the fact of what John just said, that this kind of information shouldn't have been made public? And now schools are panicking, people in Abuja, they are panicking, looking for where next to go and live or stay, pending if the security personnel can contain it. Now, your own opinion is what I want now. You feel that they can contain it now that it is already made public?
Well, I would like to agree with Chief on the fact that these things, the information would have been better managed so as not to, strike any panic or fear in the country. But it still goes to what I said earlier, that maybe they have shared this kind of information in the past, and maybe something, they were not so convinced about how it was managed, and they decided to take this approach by making the information public. So in terms of, I think it behooves on our intelligence, military intelligence in the country, to try and be proactive, because the essence of having this information ahead of time is for you to either, diffuse it or maybe, minimize the impact, sort of. So it then goes to asking ourselves, how prepared are we for, eventualities like this? What kind of systems do we have in place to identify these threats and to neutralize these threats before they cause any damage? So I'm not what's that his name? Is it Mungono? I'm not the security advisor. But I feel that they already have their hands full, and this one will not make their job any easier. So they already have their hands full with our local threats already, and we don't know where this one is coming from. So I feel that as a responsible government that is supposed to have the interests of the citizens and the security of the citizens at heart, they should, like the Chief of Defense Staff has tried to allay our fears, that they should walk the talk, so we don't end up, having a situation where we're foretold and nothing was done. That would not speak good of us.
Okay, let's just keep our fingers crossed and also believe that if it eventually happens, that we'll be safe.
Let me speak
All
like
right.
a Nigerian.
All right. We're going on a short break right now. When we come back, I will still get to the other topic that we have for you this morning. Stay with us.
Ndi Anambra, una potagola.
Ibolachi.
Good morning, Ndi Anambra.
Welcome to Good Morning Anambra Breakfast TV show on ABS TV.
Let's do it together.
Bia Kaido Kwa.
We serve it sizzling hot.
Health and lifestyle. Security. Topical issues.
National development.
Entertainment and more.
Welcome to the flagship show where we arm you with the right tools for the day.
Keeping you abreast with happenings and information within and beyond the state.
There are so many things to gain staying tuned to Good Morning Anambra on ABS TV.
Heartbeats of the East.
Good Morning Anambra, live on ABS Television, weekdays 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
All right, we are welcome back to the show this morning, and what we are going to be looking at this time is as Nigeria seeks debt cancellation. That's the topic we are going to be exploring, and we still have our guest right here with us this morning. We still have John, and we still have Chukwunonso Ekesi will be with us in the building this morning. All right, quickly, let's also look at this briefly. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari last month at the United Nations General Assembly made a call for the cancellation of debt owed by developing countries, saying that most developing countries are faced with multifaceted challenges with a debilitating chokehold on their physical space. Hence, the need to address the burden of unsustainable external debt by a global commitment to the expansion and extension of the debt service suspension to countries facing physical and liquidity challenges, as well as outright cancellation of their debt. Now, this is we just want to lay a foundation of what we are going to be talking about this morning as Nigeria seeks debt cancellation. And then from reports, they are saying that Nigeria's external debt is considered to be the biggest in sub-Saharan Africa, and it has already been rescheduled several times. Now the question is, how does this portray us to the world? Of course, we are known as the giant of Africa, but look at where we are today. Let's start with you, Nanto.
Yes, we are the giant of Africa, but it depends on the metric or the indicator you are looking at. Because the federal government is like, we have discussed something like this earlier on this program, and it's as if when information like this are discussed and made public, these people don't listen, and you won't blame them. A country that just appointed an economic advisor just not like up to a year ago, so you've run the country for over 6 years without an economic advisor, then why wouldn't the economy be in a mess? So as it is, I think the last time the National Assembly, there was some effort on the part of the National Assembly to intervene in this debt issue, and it's unfortunate that it has gotten to this point. Our external debt, as at June, is about $40 billion.
Yeah, $40.06 billion.
About $40 billion. And if we look at from where our president met our debt situation, I think he has almost doubled or tripled the debts inherited from the past, from the government of Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, and Jonathan. So, as it stands now, I think our foreign debt should be, our debt now generally should be about 40 trillion or 42 trillion or thereabout, and we are proposing to borrow another about 11 trillion for the 2023 budget. So by the time Buhari will be leaving, we'll be having a debt balance of about 50 trillion naira. That's very scary. It's very scary, and I think this statement was the one he made at the United Nations General Assembly. And you don't just go there and begin to demand debt cancellation as if it's a right. I think these external creditors have been somehow lenient with developing countries. That's why they can tend to abuse most of these debts they assess and then come back to start demanding for one debt cancellation or relief for the other. Remember that I think you mentioned something about the debt service suspension initiative. That initiative was taken to help developing countries cushion the effect of COVID. Okay, now, what are you doing? Now, the word there is suspension. It didn't mean that you are not going to pay it again.
Yes.
It's not cancellation. Now you are seeking for outright cancellation. Now I want to draw us to, I want to take us on this path now. As of 2005, when Obasanjo, I think that was in his second tenure. Yeah, when he was, going around trying to galvanize support for the then debt relief we enjoyed then. At least there were some commitments on ground to show that, okay, these people, they appear to be serious. What were those commitments? They were sound economic reforms. There were commitments on the part of trying to tell the international community that don't worry, this relief, we're going to do it. We're going to stop or fight corruption. And not just saying so. We created the EFCC, the ITPC, I think Okunjewala and co. They came up with, saying that if we have this windfall from sale of crude oil, that we are not going to squander it anyhow. That's what gave birth to the excess crude account. And many other steps. Even the IMF came up with, some sort of monitoring, biannual monitoring of our monetary and fiscal targets. And those things, Nigerians met all those required criteria before they now struck a deal where they wrote off $18 billion and we paid off 12 billion. So you see that is how a country, you will have, something has to give. You have to show that level of commitment before they now start entertaining the conversation of whether they are going to cancel the debt or not. You don't come, you have an agreement, a loan facility is made, and all of a sudden you are seeking for cancellation. How is that done? These people are not daft. So there must be concrete effort on ground to make sure that we can finance, we can take care of ourselves, and whether we are even worthy of a cancellation. So as from my own opinion, the debt, Nigeria, if we get a debt relief, it will be very good at this stage. Why? Because first and foremost, it will reduce our debt stock, which will reduce what we have to pay in terms of debt servicing. So if the debt has reduced, your servicing will reduce. Mind you, our debt servicing for last year's budget was about 90-something% of our revenue. So when your debt servicing is taking almost the revenue, then what are you doing? So if we can get the debt cancellation, don't get me wrong, it will be good. Our debt servicing will reduce, and we have more money to invest in the economy. That's why the government is talking about fiscal space. When you continue to borrow, they continue to match your borrowings in terms with your revenue generating ability. So and the common man will benefit because governments will have funds now to attend to their needs. So that's a good thing. Another thing again, investors will also benefit because people want to come into the country to do business, or those who are already within the country will feel a bit relaxed because they know that the government will not be in a panic mood trying to raise money from virtually anywhere by even increasing their taxes to meet up with the debt obligation. And again, it depends on the condition that we are given, that if they now want to consider this our appeal for debt cancellation, the conditions we will be given, will we be able to meet up with these conditions? Mind you, the last loan we took from the IMF, there are a lot of conditionalities there that I know that if the federal government implements thoroughly, that we'll have a situation that will move from bad to worse because of maybe for instance, they are saying you should take away, what's it called, subsidies. You should liberalize certain areas of your economy and so on and so forth. So we know that these things will have a serious effect on us. So do we have the leadership? I don't like comparing governments, but I know that the kind of effort the Obasanjo team himself, Okonjo-Iweala. I think our current governor was a part of that team. And so on and so forth. Did you have the political will, first and foremost, to gather these kind of persons and listen to their recommendations and go ahead to implement it? So it's only, for me, it's only wishful thinking. Because I think it's what the federal government is just trying to generate this noise. So maybe other countries can come in, and because I remember some time ago, the vice president, I think in his last trip to the US, made something, just hinted to something like that. So if we want debt cancellation, we know what to do. It's not just to come and begin to talk, generally. We know what to do. We have done it before. The question is, do we have what it takes to look at, to seriously, request, for instance.
Mm-hmm. We have what it takes to request for this cancellation, and since it was done in during Obasanjo's regime, that is June 2005, and then we had to pay 12 out of 18 million. Now, can these countries even consider doing that for us now?
No, it's not possible, because when you look at it, one, as at that particular time, in this cabinet, you have Okonjo-Iweala, you have Chukwuma.
Hello? Go ahead, sorry.
You have Chukwuma, Soludo, Ezekwesili. These are, El-Rufai was there, they were all there. Samsudin Usman, they were all there. Then this lady, Esther Nanadi, they were all there. These are people who knows what they are taking, what they have come for. Tell me today somebody there in this man's government that can match with Okonjo-Iweala or can match with Charles Soludo. All he did was, at that particular time in his first tenure, he packed some people, no leader, no economic advisor, and said that they are advisors. Who are you advising? There should be a channel of passing information to people, but not in this thing. We are now saying about this IMF. We have not talked about China. No. We don't know what was signed, what this government signed with China. Forgetting that China has taken Entebbe Airport. Every money that comes into that airport now belongs to China. We never knew what this government signed with China, and we don't know about that. Whether tomorrow China will come and say they are taking the whole of Ubuntu. So we don't know about this. So this is very, very important for us to know. So because this government is not ready at all, and they are saying this, because these people will look at you and find out and know exactly. Now let me surprise you. The Francophone countries pay 10% up to today to France. Whatever that comes in or whatever they sell in their country, they pay tithe 10% to France. Is it the same people now? You now ask France that is surviving through them to come and cancel their debts. It's not possible. France will not do that. And then IMF will look at you and know exactly what you are capable of doing, what your team of economics are doing. What I don't understand, why the Abacha loot that they keep on getting, why would they get it, they share immediately? We know how to share things in this country. They could have used that debt to start to service this, what do you call it, Abacha loot, to service this debt. That would have been very, very helpful. At least it will help to an extent. But immediately it comes, I'm yet to see a governor that will say, no, let us use this money to service our debt. No, they carry it, they want to share.
Okay. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, please, if you want to call us, you just dial the number in front of your television set this morning and be audible so that we can hear you very well from the studio this morning. All right, going back to what we are discussing, of course, I made mention that some of this debt, that it has been rescheduled and refinanced by some creditors, but yet we are still here and we still have arrears. Now, from is either from the members of the parish club, that is the government, or the London banks, or independent creditors. Arrears of this debt keeps accumulating. So why is it like that?
Because we don't have any serious commitment or grant to follow through with not just the servicing, but the payments. You know, when we talk of debt refinancing, rescheduling, these are ways to just, kick the can down the road, as it were. So you are just delaying an eventuality that you know must happen. And I'm particularly bothered because we are discussing debt cancellation without looking at what is actually happening on the home front. Look at, I'm very particular about the ways and means through which the central bank is supporting the federal government. That's why, when you are talking external, I know that we have a bigger crisis on the home front. And that's part of why I support what Chief is saying, that they will not grant this debt relief, because they will also look at what is happening internally. What are you doing in your own, the one that is within your control? What are you doing? The central bank is expected, as contained in the Central Bank Act, that they can make ways and means, more or less, money available to the federal government in case it experiences a temporary revenue shortfall. So the central bank can make this monies available to the government, but it should not exceed 5% of the previous year's revenue. But we have exceeded that 5%. I think it's going towards about 20 trillion now. Now the question you ask is this: where is the central bank getting this money from? You print money and you give government, and the government, again, their expenditure choices are not choices that you expect a government that is having a debt challenge to be making. For looking at our bloated, cost of governance. So we are making these monies available to fund an over-bloated government. At the end of the day, when the central bank is printing money, let me just call it printing money, and pumping into the economy artificial money that is not coming from economic activity, then tomorrow you'll be surprised that our interest and our inflation is over 20%. Why won't inflation rise? People think that inflation is rising because generally the price of goods are just going up and the rest of them. It is not only that. This is part of what is fueling inflation. That's elementary definition of inflation in economics, where you say you have too much money chasing too few goods. That's exactly what is happening. And again, because of our negligence on our other revenue sources, like what is happening with crude oil, why is it all of a sudden? So we are now discovering over 40 tappings on our crude oil pipeline infrastructure. Why are we just discovering it now? That we are facing a challenge of not just unpredictable oil prices, but oil theft as well. Yeah. So what are you doing to increase revenue that will reduce your appetite for debt? We are not doing anything. We are just playing to the gallery. This Tompolo. For me, I feel that is just playing to the gallery. So people will just say, okay, we are getting them and the rest. How are those people you have gotten? How have they been prosecuted? And so on and so forth. So I don't want to go there. But the danger, why I'm particularly concerned is this. You are making these loans. You are taking these external debts, for instance, in U.S. currency. And maybe we took these loans when the Naira was about 190 something or even 400 and. But now you have to pay back in the same dollar, and look at where your exchange rate is going. So that's why, like he said, when you just have an advisory council that maybe you don't even listen to, and I was particular about not having an economic advisor for too long. Then all of a sudden, how do you expect these things to just vanish, and you now come out to tell people that they should cancel your debt? It doesn't work like that.
Okay. Now, I want to just ask you this question quickly. What happens when we fail to service our debt and we keep borrowing? What will happen to that particular nation?
Look at Venezuela,
Venezuela is
Zimbabwe.
in trouble. Zimbabwe.
Look at that. You don't even need a clear-cut answer. Just look at what is happening to those countries, and you see where Nigeria is heading to. And tomorrow you are concerned, or we are concerned that everybody wants to jackpot. Let me use this. Everybody wants to leave the country. Why won't people leave? Because we are not the efforts on ground now to even make matters worse. Like I said, President Buhari is already on his way out. He has 1 feet outside. Look at the people that are planning to replace him. Read their manifestos.
Economic illiterates.
Yeah. Look at what they are saying. I've read the most recent one. I don't want to mention the party, but it's not saying anything meaningful about what is going to do to the debt situation in the country. Rather, he is even pointing towards a further borrowing.
Borrowing in it's not bad, but
it's not bad.
What happens is when you don't use it.
That's why I mentioned the expenditure choices.
Ventures.
Your expenditure choices has to be something that is productive, something that has the capability to generate the money that you will use to refinance these debts. But we are not looking at that style. And again, when you talk of debts, I think in the National Debt Development Plan, there are ratios for I think foreign and domestic debt, and there are ratios for what was this other one again? Long-term and short-term debt. So if you look at these ratios now, you find out that on both sides, we are defaulting. And again, if you conduct what we call stress tests for this our debts, you see that many of them, on most of these fronts, they are not sustainable. And again, I don't want to bring in the issue of the equity and the justness, as it were, of this debt. Because we have a situation where it's just that it doesn't come into the conversation more often. But we have a situation where you will take loans on behalf of the country. Then those loans will now be used, for instance, for railway, for a project, and you exclude some parts of the country from the proceeds of that debt. Then at the end of the day, we now have to contribute to pay for the debt. So there are a lot of discussions around this debt that if you begin to dig into, we can already at 12.
All right, let's look at some of the factors that actually triggered the hike in our debt rate, because reporters have it that Nigeria's public debt rose the most in this present administration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the truth of the matter is that when this government came to power, we never knew whether they sold Nigeria or not. And like this oil theft that they are talking about, the oil theft is not something you just come into Nigeria. If you look at the oil liners that comes in the ocean to take this oil, they are bigger than this building. How can they enter our territorial integrity without the Navy knowing? And how can they tap our oil without top officials of NNPC knowing? It's either that there was a commitment that was made somewhere and tell them that we are going to pay you or we are going to give you revenue of Nigeria for some time so that you let us be. We never knew that. And they would do this, joyfully they will move away and things like that. Then recently they told us they've appointed one Tampolo to be in charge, and they burnt one ship. We don't know whether it's a ship that is no more moving. No, there are a lot of things going on that if a man that has sanity comes in as the next president that will expose all these things, that's exactly what we are praying for. Because we've been sold and we don't know. So this debt we are talking, Nigeria is going to a failed state, coming like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Venezuela have a lot of oil. You may not think they have oil. I think their oil reserve is larger than that of Nigeria. They are second to Saudi Arabia with a smaller population. Mm-hmm. But because of recklessness, profligacy of leadership. And that is exactly what put them where they are. And now when this government came, so many things went to play and things like that. He said something about the high cost of governance, which should be reduced. How can our senator be earning more than the senators? They are the highest paid senators in the whole world. How can it be so? How can it be that people in the government, they do so many things, nobody can query the government? Obama receives little salary, and he works towards that his salary. He cannot put hand from the government money to go and do anything. But now the president can decide and say, I'm coming to Oka, I will give you a mosque, and nobody talks. Coming here, I'm going to do this for you, nobody talks, because there is no control in leadership. So until we go back and do things, governance the way it should be, where we have economic advisors that we will listen to, security advisors that we will listen to, then there will be sanity in our nation. Without that, no way. Nigeria is falling as a failed state.
Just like you said earlier, that this administration is one leg in and one leg out. And we are talking about the people that are coming in, looking at 2023 general elections. And just like you said earlier, that when you read at least one of the aspirants' manifesto, rather, and you found nothing that written on how they are going to address the economic situation of the country. Now, how then do we we are the citizens, we are the people that are going to suffer at the end of the day. Now, so how do we let them understand that they need to address this particular issue? We are talking about the exchange rate, 700 and something to just $1. And some people are already saying, some experts are already saying that before the end of the year, it might hit 1,000.
1,000.
So where are we heading from here? And then how do we let these politicians know that there are critical issues that we need to address, not just coming and telling us that you are going to create employment, you are going, how? How do we do this? How do we get to that point where we at least service our loans, our debts, and still have something to help manage the economy of this country?
That is why we have to be careful with the kind of leadership that replaces this outgoing one. Because if you reinforce this outgoing one with, I would like, on many fronts, I would like to categorize them as a failure, but not generally. But on the economic front, for me, they have failed. So if we reinforce this failure with another one, I just don't want to imagine what will happen. If you look around, most international rating agencies are already downgrading the Nigerian economy and our financial system. And with a downgrade, we know what the implication is, the kind of message, the pessimism it is going to spread around. So I think the bright side is that I think the level of civic engagement that is going on ahead of next year's election has been on the rise, and people are becoming more conscious, more aware of what they need to do to make sure that we don't make the kind of mistake we have been making in terms of our leadership recruitment. So our leadership recruitment policy in the country is now being rejigged, such that, with the involvement of the youth, for instance, and how the message of, trying to transform the economy post 2023 is something that people are becoming more conscious of. And it is now the responsibility of everybody. It's not just, if we leave this country to political parties, we will not make any headway. It is now the responsibility of everybody. I myself, for instance, I take out time during my classes to tell students, look, that this is no longer business as usual. It's unfortunate that the government has weaponized poverty, such that people who have not seen maybe 10,000 in their life for a very long time, when they see it during election, if you tell them don't sell your vote, they will be like, whether we
But
sell
with the
or
kind
we
of
don't
thing
sell.
we are seeing today, I
So
don't think it's going to be business
that's
as
what I'm
usual.
saying. That
We pray.
I'm happy that things like this are going on. Even the media, the way you guys are now focusing on this thing, unlike what we used to have before. I think this idea of a low voter turnout, I think there will be. I'm expecting a change in that aspect, for instance, and people are now asking the right questions. People are becoming engaging these aspirants more than we used to expect.
Okay. So, John, do you think that engaging them more will also help them to, to change the direction they are going when it comes to our economy, rejigging our economy?
Of course. Something happened in one of the states in Southwest. The son of a deputy governor followed the protests in the other side of the youth. Because the problem we have is these three people contesting. One is Mr. Dubai, the other one is Emilokon, then the other one Okute. These three people contesting. So the youth now beginning, it was even the youth now that are financing the other person because they are not interested in your money and so on. And that is why I am begging INEC to please make sure that there is a good election.
Okay.
Because if the election is not good, what happened during the NSAS will be a child's play.
All right. All right. That note, we want to say a very big thank you to both of you, and also thank you so much for being part of the show this morning.
Thank you as always.
And also to you, John. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's it on the show this morning. Thank you so much for being part of it. My name is Chidema Oranwa. See you again tomorrow. Bye.
Niger people way.
Nonsense.